Today I'm going to show you how to do the figure 8 stitch on a round loom. Now typically, if you're familiar with figure 8 stitch, that's a very common one that people use on in a rake fashion on your long looms. But you can also do a figure 8 stitch on a circle loom, and it gives a wonderful, chunky, airy look. What I'm using is just 2 strands of this is about a worsted weight yarn. The cast on I used for this was a chain cast on, and I did a few rows of garter stitch. Honestly, if I really wish I would have went back and just done a rib stitch for the brim of this hat. I think I would have liked the way it looked a lot better. Alright, let's get to the stitch. What you do is, I've already completed a full round. Of course, bear with me, I am left-handed, so I will be moving this way on the loom when you're probably going to be moving this way. And it is a figure 8, so again, you are doing figure 8 stitch, figure 8 shapes. So this is the peg the yarn is coming from. I go over, I skip a peg, and I loop one. Oop. Okay, let me do that again. Basically, I do a figure 8. Show you up close. This is where the yarn is coming from. I skip this one, take it over here, wrap it around, go back, wrap it. That is your figure 8, and it does look like a little figure 8. And then at this point, what you do is you just knit those 2 off, put them down. And now the yarn is coming from this peg instead of this one. So you're doing the same thing all the way around. So the yarn is coming from this peg, we're skipping this one, going to this one, wrapping around, doing a figure 8. And you just take the bottom over the top, you push those down. Now where we started with the yarn here, we've done this one, now the yarn is here. Again, we are doing a figure 8. Right there's your figure 8. And you can, it doesn't matter which one you knit off first. Now if you pull this, when you're doing this, if you pull it real tight, it's harder to knit the second one off. Get a little more yarn going here. So again, here's where the yarn is coming from. See if I can try to get it at a different angle for you. Okay, so here is the peg the yarn is coming from. I'm skipping this one, wrapping it around this one, going back and wrapping that one. Your figure 8. And see where I pulled that last stitch kind of tight? That one isn't wanting to go over very easy. So you want to wrap these loose so that it's easy to do. And of course you're going to do this all the way around. And yes, when you do come back here, okay, let's say we've knitted all the way back around and we are back at this one right here. We got the yarn coming off of this one. You do still go and wrap that one and go back, because then that's going to put your yarn back at your, oops, sorry, that's going to put your yarn back at your first peg. So I'll show you a couple more times just to make sure. We got yarn coming from this peg. Of course, I'm a lefty, so I am, instead of, if you're right-handed, you'll go back and wrap that way. I'm left-handed, so I'm always knitting sorry, I'm always knitting in a clockwise fashion on my looms. I'm always knitting, well, I guess if you hold it like that, it's counterclockwise, where right-handed people typically knit going this way on a loom. So just reverse it in your head, or, you know, right-handed, left-handed. Right. There we go. And this stitch is it's a little slower. Oops. I'm holding this up, so I'm having trouble keeping my tension good. Okay, this one I'll do a little looser. Well, what's affecting me is the row I did before this. I like this because it's just a different look. It's kind of chunky looking, and it's very airy. This is a good stitch to use for like the crochet style hats, or your people call them floppy hats, crochet. Those are the hats that are real big and they just kind of flop over. I do think I would like this a lot better with a rib stitch cast on. That's where for 2 pegs you E-wrap 2 pegs, purl 2 pegs, E-wrap 2 pegs, purl 2 pegs, all the way around. The size loom that you use, this is your, I don't remember how many pegs right off. This is the second largest in a large loom, in your circle loom set. It goes by the same rules that you would use for any hat you make. What I was always told is, if you're not sure what loom to make, what loom to use to make a hat, what you do is you just see which loom will fit on the person's head. Typically guys, you need the yellow loom. Typically girls, you need, well, typically with guys, you need the largest loom in the set. I don't want to say yellow technically because different makers have made the looms different colors. Typically a woman is the second size. Typically a newborn, the tiniest one. A lot of times for a newborn that'll be maybe a little too tight. So I just make a hat on that second size